Think your engine is dying? It's not. It's just suffocating. Skipped maintenance, hidden carbon, lazy sensors. They're quietly stealing your power and your money. Today we're sharing 15 dealer secrets they don't want you to know. And the last one, it could save you thousands in repairs. At number 15, try a used oil analysis. This simple test costs about $30, but can prevent major engine disasters. Here's how it works. During your next oil change, collect a few ounces of oil mid-drain and send it to a lab. They'll send back a detailed report, a kind of blood test for your car. The lab looks for metal particles, which can indicate early engine wear. One Ford V6 owner noticed a sudden spike in iron. His timing chain guides were failing, but catching it early saved the engine. Another report revealed high coolant-related chemicals from a $24 gasket leak, as that small fix prevented a cracked head or a blown engine. This test also helps with oil change timing. If the lab finds your oil's additives are still strong and its burn point is safe, you might be able to stretch your change interval from 10,000 miles to 12,000 fewer oil changes. Less waste, more money saved. Basically, it gives you real insight into your engine instead of guessing. At number 14, walnut blast your intake valves. Direct injection engines often suffer from carbon buildup on the intake valves. Unlike older engines, fuel spray doesn't clean these valves. So by 50,000 to 60,000 miles, oily vapors from the crankcase harden into a rock-solid crust. This limits airflow, messes with fuel burn, and can even stop the valves from sealing properly. The solution is walnut blasting crushed walnut shells into the intake ports while sealing each cylinder. It scrapes off carbon without harming metal, and suddenly your engine breathes like new. BMW owners often see 3-4 mpg improvements in smoother idling, while high-mileage hot hatches like the Fiesta Street have regained up to 35 horsepower shops. Charge $400, $600, but DIers can do it under $100. Just 2 hours and your engine feels like it did off the line. Here's a trick even experienced. DIers forget it's been at the bottom of your engine the whole time. At number 13, install a magnetic drain plug. Every engine run sheds tiny metal particles from pistons, camshafts, and timing chains. Most get trapped in the oil filter, but the smallest ones keep circulating. That's where a magnetic drain, plug, comes in. It replaces your factory drain bolt and uses a strong magnet to catch fine metal particles as oil flows past. Over time, it quietly reduces internal wear. Lab tests back this up. One 700 horsepower Hellcat, using a magnetic plug, saw iron levels drop to just 8 parts per million. Less than a third of typical readings. These magnets grab particles as small as 2 microns, far smaller than what your oil filter can catch. Installing one is simple. Just swap your current drain plug for a magnetic one during your next oil change. They're cheap, around $15, and take only minutes to install. After that, just clean off the collected metal at each oil change. 8. A low-cost, high-impact trick for keeping your engine healthy long-term. Before we move on, tap that subscribe button. This is all about making your engine last and sharing the tricks dealers won't tell you. At number 12, prime your oil system. Most drivers never think about the damage that happens in the first few seconds after a cold start. Studies from major oil companies and engine makers show that up to 70% of engine wear occurs before oil pressure fully builds. That brief dry moment after you turn the key is when metal parts rub against each other without full protection. There's a simple habit that helps. During every oil change, pour a little fresh oil into the new oil filter before installing it. This ensures pressurized oil reaches the engine almost immediately on startup, reducing metal-on-metal contact. If your car has been sitting for weeks, you can take it a step further, pull the fuel pump fuse and crank the engine for 5 to 10 seconds. This builds oil pressure before any combustion happens. Then replace the fuse and start the car normally. Engine builders swear by this. It works just as well for daily drivers, especially in cold weather or heavy stop-and-go traffic. This every time, and your engine stays protected when it needs it most. At number 11, reset your ECU after maintenance. Fix a mechanical issue like cleaning the MAF sensor, replacing spark plugs, or sealing a vacuum leak hand. The hardware may be perfect, but your car's brain might still be stuck in the past. Modern ECUs adapt fuel trims, idle airflow, and even throttle behavior based on how the engine has been running. If a throttle body has been dirty for months, the ECU may have compensated by opening it wider. Clean it, and the ECU might still act like it's dirty. At number 10, clean the throttle body. Even a paper-thin ring of carbon can mess with your idle. One SAE study found that gunk, just 0.2 millimeters thick around the throttle plate, can reduce airflow by 10 to 15%, enough to make your ECU scramble just to keep the engine running smoothly. Cleaning your throttle body manually with a can of cleaner and a rag restores airflow where the engine needs it most, especially at low throttle openings. It's great for fixing rough or hunting idles, poor off-the-line response, or a sticky pedal feel. Real-world logs back this up. One Trailblazer needed 3.9% throttle just to idle before cleaning. After a scrub and ECU reset, it dropped to 0.8% and the stumble disappeared. It's a quick job. Remove the intake hose, scrub the bore and throttle plate, and clean any idle air passages. Combine that with a simple ECU reset, and this $5 fix brings back smooth, stable, idle, and sharper throttle. Factory feel restored. Getting air in is only half the battle. Knowing how much air is getting in is where the real gains hide. At number 9, clean the MAF sensor. When your mass airflow sensor gets dirty, your engine doesn't just breathe. Worse, it starts guessing. That guesswork can throw off fueling by 10% or more, hurting power, idle, and MPG. The fix: a $10 can of MAF cleaner in 5 quiet minutes. Spray the sensor's fine wire without touching it. Let it dry, reinstall, and you're done. Drivers on forums have reported everything from smoother idle to a full IDL. 5% horsepower gain and 10 mpg. Improvement on the next tank. One 911 owner saw 229 horsepower rise to 241 after a clean. A Prius jumped from 45 to 58 mpg. That's how sensitive modern ECUs are. 2 accurate airflow readings. At number 8, flush with ATF before an oil change. Old school mechanics still swear by this, adding half to 1 quart of automatic transmission fluid as a short-term engine flush right before an oil change. ATF has powerful detergents designed to clean tight hydraulic systems. Add it to warm oil, idle gently for 5 to 15 minutes, and it breaks down varnish and sludge inside the engine. Drain it with the old oil, and you take years of carbon buildup. Out with it. Enthusiasts on forums report results like lifter ticks disappearing, smoother idle, blackened oil pouring out followed by crystal clear oil on the next fill. One case even fixed low oil pressure caused by clogged passages. It's not for every engine. But if yours is showing its age or running rough, this $7 trick can clean things out without tearing into the block. Just don't rev it hard this. Flush is gentle but effective. The next trick doesn't require a wrench, lift, or even a garage. Just a gas station and a red bottle that's been around since 2. World War II. Number 7. Add Marvel Mystery Oil to your fuel. This forgotten gem still gets respect among car enthusiasts. Adding MMO helps with upper cylinder lubrication and mild cleaning. Just 4 ounces per 10 gallons of fuel is enough. MMO enters through the fuel injectors, lightly lubricating valves, piston rings, and injectors areas that modern pump gas doesn't protect. Why does it work? MMO is mostly light mineral oil with a bit of solvent and sulfur, enough to clean deposits and coat metal with a friction-reducing film. It's especially useful for older engines, high-mileage commuters, or any car that sits. For long periods, one driver saw compression rise from 95 to 150 psi. After soaking the engine with Marvel Mystery Oil, others report smoother idle, tighter ring seal, and even a 1-2 mpg gain. It won't fix a failing engine, but used regularly, it helps preserve power and smoothness in engines, old and new. Think of it as easy, cheap mechanical TLC with every fill dash up. At number 6, install an oil catch can. This little device quietly protects your engine from slow, dirty damage. Modern engines, especially direct injection, ones push oily vapors through the intake to meet emission standards. Over time, that oil coats your intake manifold and valves, forming carbon buildup that chokes airflow and reduces performance. A catch can intercepts those vapors, trapping the oil and keeping your intake clean. The results speak for themselves. On average, people drain an ounce of gunk every 1,000 miles. That adds up to a full crankcase's worth of bloby over 40,000 miles, never reaching your valves. Without it, you're risking power loss, cold start misfires, and eventually an expensive walnut blast to fix it. Resetting your ECU wipes out learned behaviors so it can adapt to your updated setup. Disconnect the battery for 5 to 10 minutes, or use a scan tool to clear adaptive memory. Let the engine idle, warm up, and take it for a light drive. Drivers have seen real gains, sharper throttle, smoother idle, and even up to 5 mpg improvement. It's like rebooting a sluggish phone, same hardware, but suddenly it runs like new again. Installing a catch can isn't difficult. Locate your PCV hose, unplug it, and insert the catch can using the provided hoses and brackets. Empty it at every oil change. We'll be surprised at what collects in there. At number 5. Add a molybdenum oil additive. This comes straight from the world of lubrication engineers. Molybdenum disulfide is a solid lubricant that plates internal surfaces, creating a slick layer that resists friction even under extreme pressure. Pour in a treatment like liqui moly. Mose 2 during an oil change, and microscopic particles suspend in the oil, helping your engine run smoother, quieter, and more efficiently, especially under load or during cold starts. Real-world results are impressive. Stronger idle, fewer ticks, and better MPG. One Porsche owner reported smoother idling for years. A Tacoma driver gained up to 1.5 mpg. Peer-reviewed studies show Mose 2 can reduce friction by up to 40%. In critical areas, application is simple. 1 300 ml can per oil change, mixed right in, no tools needed. It's low cost, low effort insurance that helps your engine feel factory fresh for longer. At number 4. Piston soak to free stuck rings. If your engine has lost compression or is burning oil, don't rush to a rebuild just yet. Stuck piston rings might be the culprit, and a piston soak can bring them back to life. This trick involves removing the spark plugs and pouring a solvent like Marvel Mystery Oil, Seafoam, or a TF into each cylinder. Let it soak overnight, or even up to 48 hours. These fluids break down the carbon that's gluing the rings in place. After the soak, crank the engine with the plugs out to expel the liquid, then change the oil and fire it up. Expect smoke lots of it. It's the carbon and gunk burning off. In many cases, compression jumps back up and oil burning drops dramatically. GM techs used this method on 5.3L engines before tearing them down. DIers have seen compression gains of over 50 psi in just a day. It's cheap and can save an engine that seemed nearly lost. That was deep cleaning from below. Now let's attack the problem from above. At number 3, intake solvent cleaning for carbon removal. Unlike piston soaks, which target stuck rings through the spark plugs, this trick attacks carbon from the top end while the engine is running. You feed a can of Seafoam, CRC, or Marvel Mystery Oil into a vacuum line or throttle body. As it enters, it coats intake valves, piston tops, and combustion chambers. Then you shut the engine off and let it heat soak. When you restart, you'll see a cloud that's carbon and solvent burning off. This method cleans areas fuel can't reach, especially intake valves and direct injection engines. It's excellent for restoring throttle response, curing light pinging, or freshening up an older engine without disassembly. For under $15 and just 30 minutes of work, it's like giving your engine a detox without touching a wrench. Just do it outside. Hold tight for the final surprise. But first, one of the oldest engine hacks is making a comeback and, yes, it involves actual water. At number 2, steam clean carbon with water injection. Carefully introduced water can clean your engine from the inside. With the engine fully warm, and at fast idle, Mist or gently feed small amounts of distilled water into a vacuum line or throttle body. The result is instant steam in the combustion chamber, blasting carbon deposits off pistons and valves. When done correctly, this method dislodges gunk that causes knock, power loss, and poor fuel economy. Tests show it can restore 3.5 psi of compression and improve MPG by up to 20%. Automakers like BMW have experimented with it on performance engines, but caution is critical. Never pour water directly, mist only. Keep engine RPMs up to avoid stalling, and don't attempt it on a cold engine. Hydrolock is real if you dump too much water too fast. Stick to distilled water and use short burst snot, a steady stream. Done safely, it's an ultra-cheap trick that genuinely works. At number 1, do a proper Italian tune-up. This technique is tried and true even Hyundai and GM. Recommend full throttle runs to burn off combustion chamber deposits, but it only works if done correctly and safely. Start with a fully warm engine, oil above 180 degrees Fahrenheit, coolant at operating temperature. Use a lower gear to keep RPMs in the 70 to 90% redline range under load. Like when merging hard onto the highway or climbing a hill. 2 or 3 pulls every few hundred miles is enough. Don't attempt this with cold oil, an old timing belt active. Misfires or low oil levels. Never hold it at redline or lug the engine in a high gear. Also, avoid doing it right before shutdown. Let the car cool down with light driving so the turbo and catalytic converter aren't heat-soaked. Done right. This trick clears carbon, improves idle, and restores throttle response. No chemicals. Needed just the heat and pressure your engine generates naturally. Your engine is sorted.